Okay, let's get going here. Do some painting here on Tuesday evening. And let's see if we can stay interested and don't fall asleep. Always a challenge on the evening painting sessions. Okay, so what have we been working on? Well, working on the 4 guards that fit on the poke stand. These 4 fellows right here. Let's just turn this thing around. Alright, let's do this and flip it. These guys right here. This is what we've been working on last, and really should take some time to get some of this stuff off my table. Although, judging by what other painters' table area looks like, mine's still pretty organized, even though I find it pretty chaotic. But it's because there's some folks out there that have some real doozies in the mess department. I don't know how they get anything done, honestly. But yeah, this is pretty chaotic for me. All right, I think we've cleared off enough space here. And usually what I do is I put everything away in between projects, but we pretty much will just roll right into these guys. Okay, so we've got these 4 spearmen that are going to be the guards that fit on the stand. And I don't know if it's going to be on the 4 corners, but basically something like that. And I did do some painting the other morning and didn't film it. It's the first time I've done that in a very long time. And we did the white on there as well, and we started painting the little cough that's on him. So that's what we're going to work on and bring them all up to speed. We're going to do them all at the same time, which is kind of unusual, but if I'm painting them all the same, it seems that I'm making quicker progress that way. But I usually don't do that. So let's get our candidates here for the brushes. And the magic liquid. Now look at this color here. This has been sitting on this pad that's moist for a few, oh really? For a few days. And this color is actually red. And look how it's separated. It almost looks like it's white, and it's actually the thinner that's in it. And speaking of thinner, we need to, let's get one more thing here. And look, just like that, I ran through a roll of paper towels, which I've had a long time. Okay. All right, so let's get the thinner here, and we're done with the red on him. All right, let's just pick another one of these guys, and this was the red that we were using over on this side. Let's bring that back to life. And we'll see how long we can paint today. A lot of it depends on how active I'm going to be, how interactive this is going to be. And so if you got any comments, want to talk about maybe some of the videos that you saw, Uploaded 2 today from the videos that we just shot yesterday, so I don't know if you guys have gotten a chance to do that, but the last of the War of the Roses battles we did, and then we also had Marty and his son yesterday. Got a chance to play some Blind General. So that happened, and those are up on this channel now. So kind of shorter videos than normal. So if you're dreading the 4-hour long videos, these are not that. All right. And I don't even know who the manufacturer of these figures are. These are no doubt guys that picked up from a flea market. I'm not sure who makes this particular casting. They're kind of primitive, but they paint up well, or they're painting up well. Okay, and now we're going to just do this kind of more raw, not having the any black in that. And this is actually a different red than the red that's on the shield. I did that on purpose. I don't really want to paint something made of cloth one color red and then the same color red, something that's of a different material, because it's going to look different. It's definitely going to look different. So as I mentioned, we've got, I believe on Sunday, we've got these guys that we're going to work on, as we've got crossbowmen coming. So we didn't have the right crossbowmen for this period. I could have used some and it would have worked, but I'm spending this much time painting these figures. I want them to be at least somewhat accurate, or have them to give the army the look that I want. So. Okay. Okay, it's good. So after we're done with this, we're going to go ahead and paint his spear, or the spears on all these guys. Faces, helmet, that kind of stuff. Okay, I think we're probably done with that. Let's go ahead and we did what? Monster Brown on the other one? Let's take a look at it. We're pretty happy with how it turned out. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, that'll work. Yep, attack of the yawns. Well, I've been up a while. And I was out late yesterday. Making videos. Okay. Let's put some of this on here. Just something a little bigger, then it doesn't take all week to get the paint on here. Something strange going on at the end of this. There we go. All right, so let's paint this spear in this dark color that we're going to end up highlighting. Okay, next. Australian Greg. Yes, I'm working on the papal litter. Yeah, these are the guys that were going to go on the four corners or something like that. Something like that. I'm very comfortable here today. I'm not really sure what the deal is. Have I finalized the number of figures going on the base? I have not. We're going to have these four guys, the Pope, the guy kneeling down, and the Pope's the Chamberlain type figure. Definitely going to have that. Plus, we've got some other kneeling monks. Might work those in there as well. I need to go get a beverage, so I will be right back. I will be right back. All right. So, exact finalization, not sure yet. Would you consider having a standard bearer as well? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It doesn't have a very exciting flag, so um, I don't know. I don't really want it to overshadow the Pope, so I'm kind of doing the things that I can that I know for sure are going or gonna have, like, you gotta have guards, and I don't want. I mean, it fights as a blade, okay? So it's like if it fights as a blade that has to be doubled. I mean, if it gets outscored by cavalry, by uh, by knights, it doesn't die. So you got to double it. So it's a pretty tough stand. So you can't just, I don't want to just put one or two guards on there. I want to put at least four. So, gold cross keys on a white background. It's just not enough. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. We're doing this stuff for sure. We're doing this stuff for sure. We got something really cool coming that is going to make the whole army. So, I don't want to commit to anything other than that because it's going to be a space issue, maybe. And I am not going to do it on a 40 by 80 stand. I'm not going to do it on a 40 by 80 stand. 40 by 80 stands are just dumb. And they're not dumb because they take up too much space, but they're dumb because the game only allows one unit to contact on the 80 side. So, you've got something that's 80 millimeters long, but only at the frontage of one unit that's 40 can go into combat. Nothing, so that right there just adds weirdness. That's just a strange, it's a strange anomaly there of the rules. So I don't want to even entertain that. And the fact that if I use this stand as a baggage element, I can use them in collision course. So that's at least my thoughts. So I'm not sure that I'm going to have a standard bearer. We'll see how it plays. It's probably more likely that if I do have a flag, it may not be held by anyone. It might just be stuck in the ground. And that's just because I want these guards definitely to have a spear. And we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it plays out. So this is probably going to be the best looking general stand of any of the ones that I have, even if it doesn't have a flag. There's got some big plans for it, so I'm just teasing. Yeah, I can't spoil what it is. I can't spoil what it is. So anyhow, so right now it's paint these guys because I know they're going to be on here. I'm happy with this figure. Have no clue who makes the manufacturers. Who makes the manufacturers? um, I'm not sure who the manufacturer of these guys is, but definitely going to do that. We've got to do the crossbowmen. The crossbowmen are coming from Essex. I didn't realize. I realized I did not have crossbowmen that I wasn't happy with. That I was happy with, which is strange because I've got a ton of crossbowmen, but I just have a lot of guys that are for a later period. You know, they could have worked, but sometimes it just didn't really pan out. So we'll see if C&B Minis comes through again. Now that I know that they don't notify you when they ship things out, I'm not going to freak out. Gotta go now. Unfortunately, things to do. I know you're one of those guys that retires and you have more things to do now than when you were working. So, what else did I do this weekend? I put together armies, the stuff that Jim Chaney brought. We're up to 10 armies now, DBA armies to give away. So, well, we're not just going to give them away. You got to win. And, I mean, Mitch and I aren't eligible. So, if Mitch and I win and then you come in third, guess what? You're the winner that's not Mitch. And so that person will win, will get something. So hopefully it's somebody that paints. No point in giving away lead to somebody who's not going to paint it, you know? But that is coming. And that actually, even though that's a lot of fun to do, that took a lot longer than I was expecting it to take. It took a long time because, well, you could just haphazardly throw things together, but it's a combination between which are the correct figures, and then, a variety of them, so you don't have a bunch of guys that, look the same. That would be silly. And and I actually didn't have any command figures for one of the armies that I did that were included, but I had extras, so we threw some of those in as well. So it's always good to have extra figures because you never know when you can have them in there. So you finally get to paint with Tony. Oh, you weren't on? I thought you were the first person on. I guess you weren't, Joe. I have no idea who's on. So, if you want to be recognized, if you want to be interacted with, you got to let me know who you are. I've got no way to find out who it is. All I know is there's 3 people watching. That's it. So who you are, I have no idea. If you want to lurk, that's fine too. No biggie. So I'm not sure how many events are there. There's the Saturday afternoon one, then there's Saturday evening, then Sunday, then I'm sorry. There's Friday afternoon, Friday evening, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. That's 5, and then 6. Yeah, so we got 10 armies to give away for 6 events. So only gonna have one winner for each one of them. We don't want to give everything away at once. And if you win, we just here's the pick one of these armies out of the things and go to town with it. So obviously, if you won 2 events, you probably won't pick the same armies. There's 2 of each right now. There's you want to know? You guys want to know what giveaway stuff we have? Joe, you want to know what armies we have to give away so far? I know this distracts me, but it keeps me awake. That's far more important at this point. Let's see what we got here. And this is stuff that, like I said, I don't know if you caught it earlier. Mitch and I aren't eligible because he's not going to paint them, and I got enough lead. So, not that there's anything wrong with this stuff, but let's see. We've got from the top. We got 2 Islamic Persian armies. Okay, and here it's listed what's included in there. Like for instance, this is a cav general, 7 cav, a light horse, 2 fast bow or Saloy, and then a solid horde or cavalry. And there was a 3 pike as well, but there's no figures to do 3 pike on it. So you'll have to provide your own 3 pike figures if you want the full option Islamic Persian. But this is a 3.0 book 442 Islamic Persian army. So we got 2 of those. We got 2 later Visigoths, book 283 A and B, so you can make the early and the late version. Okay, and here's the troop types it consists of. A couple of knights. This one doesn't have a command figure. There's no figure that was a commander. So if you win this, you're gonna have to buy a guy for the commander because there's no commander included in here. But there's 2 later Visigoth armies. You can make A and B with that. What else is here? Scots, Isles, and Highlands, book 378. There's 2 of those. There is Medieval Irish Army. They didn't have all the options here. So like for instance, I went ahead and listed like the whole army. But like for instance, it can have a knight general or a pike general or a light horse general. And it did not, there weren't any figures I could use for a pike general or a light horse general. They just weren't included in here. But I did find one for this. I had to do a scribble here because originally as 1 light horse, I didn't have them, and I did find some at the last minute that would work for that. So 2 medieval Irish armies. And what else do we have here? 2 feudal French. Okay. This is book 4A. Pretty much all options except the last choice. You can have a Saloy or a solid horde or a fast horde or a fast pike or a solid ox. So there's no horde options or pike options or solid ox. They just weren't any of the appropriate figures from the bag here of of the stuff that Jim had. So that should be 10 armies, right? Two feudal French, two medieval Irish, two Scots Islands, two Scots Isles and Highlands, two later Visigoths, and two Islamic Persians. So there should be more. So like I mentioned, um, if somebody wins the tournament and it's not Mitch or myself, then the third place can get an army. Hopefully, it's somebody that paints. So, anywho, and hopefully, the convention happens, because you never know. I've heard grumblings that things may go backwards. With we'll see. Nothing official, but oh well. If not, then we'll run games at the next show and give away stuff at the next show. But it wouldn't surprise me at this point if that was going to happen. The whole world is upside down and topsy turvy. So, at least, at least we're playing every week. So it's not like this is my one chance to play a game and they canceled the convention. So, if anybody needs to not play, if there's somebody that doesn't need to play, it's our group. We get enough playing as it is. So, all right. And then we're going to do the flesh after this. All right. And let's get some of this here, add a little bit of white. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got these figures from a flea market. Oh, you know what? These might actually be some of the ones that were sent to me by Kevin Mello. That's where I got them. That's where I got them. I got no idea who makes these guys though. Not that I need more of them. I'm just curious. You know, they're definitely very old school figures. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Just people don't line up around the block to buy things that have been around for 40 years or longer. Okay, let's put this away. All right. All right. Let's. Oh, we haven't done flesh on this one yet. Let's move this down here. What am I working on? This is the guards of. Holy cow! I subscribed to a channel about a week ago. This guy puts out a lot of videos. It's a car guy, not a hobby thing. This guy puts out like 3 videos a freaking day. It's like, holy cow, man. That's that's a lot of effort. These are the guards for the Pope stand, the papal stand here on the corner. And be standing a guy on each corner. Okay. let's do this. Man, this chair likes to complain. You shift from side to side. It behaves very strangely. See if we can get some of that paint on here, off here. Stuff actually works pretty good for getting the paint off. It doesn't work very good for reshaping the brushes. People claim that you can use this stuff to reshape brushes, and I'm not buying it. Once a brush starts going sideways, you might as well just forget about it. It's not gonna, there's no way to fix it. So at least these cheap brushes, there's no way to fix it. Maybe more expensive brushes that are better made or something like that might be a little different, but all right. Where is this color? Here we go. And we're going to need some of this as well. All right, let's go ahead and suck this up so we don't have this red tint in here. It's not really going to work with what we're doing. All right, and we're over here. All right, so let's get some black over here. And this. You pull this off the. All right, we're going to paint all the fleshy bits in this color. Be back in a few. Okay, don't forget the white. I stayed up too late last night, and it hasn't caught up with me yet, so hopefully we can stay ahead of that. Not particularly interested in going to sleep before 9 p.m. Last one. Well, last one with the base color here. Oh man, there's a little bit of a hand showing up over here. Well, better to find out now than later. Yeah, this is why I paint first thing in the morning. Because by now I've been up for hours and battery low. Okay. Yeah. We're gonna need to talk about something because otherwise I'm gonna fall asleep. I'm gonna fall asleep here. Okay. I did flip this chair the other day upside down to see if I could see any lubrication points, but working on a serve nights. Excellent. Who do they have to who do they have to fight people that I have? I got Ottomans. I got that's not a very fair fight. The Serbs can just eat the Ottomans for dinner, and I've got Hungarians. I've got Not sure if they fought the medieval Germans or not. I have a feeling that they didn't. But don't fall on the ground. Oh, push this thing down. I guess that wasn't a good thing. There we go. Didn't realize I was even using those things. Armrest. Oh, somebody's got a loud moped out there. Yeah, it's difficult for me to paint this late in the evening. Well, it's not this late. It's just, in the evening. Unless I had the day off. But, after a work day, it's just too much. All right. Okay, and this guy here. Skylab, there you go. Pape Army. Yeah. The Pope Army. Yeah. Here's the Pope right here. We'll have to modify him. Not much. Modify his robes a little bit and give him a little hat. Yeah, I gotta get these done so we can work on the Book One Army. That's right, you heard right, a Book One Army. Hell, just did freeze over. Let's see, what do we got here? Uh, 4. They get me some water. Man, things loud. got here? We got some comments. Although I'm not Catholic, it's okay, you don't have to be. I had the pleasure of seeing Pope John Paul II during one of his visits to Portugal, 1982. Very impressive event. Always had an interest in the papal military adventures during the early Renaissance. Huh. Cool. That was Julius, I believe, the battle pope of the 1500s. Yeah, tumultuous time period. Sometimes these, sometimes people sided with him, sometimes people sided against him, and he switched sides, and a real confusionarium there. We're just gonna add this. We're gonna finish this guy all the way up before we put this guy down. 'Cause I do like painting one figure at a time because I don't like having to put this guy and put him back down. I like the once he's in my hand, once I got a grip on him, I want to keep him till he's done. Okay, that one's done. What do we got here? The pleasure to see Pope John Paul during one of his visits to Portugal in 1982. Very impressive event. Man, you're old. 1982. I was 11 in 1982. And some people think that's old. I'm not. I don't feel old. I'm just not a punk ass. These kids now are spoiled with their self-driving cars and shit that they. That's what I was watching at lunchtime. I was watching accidents in self-driving cars or something like that. Not gonna catch me in one of those things. (1982). Yeah, I remember 1982 pretty well. Not a good year for me. I didn't like sixth grade. That was no fun. Sixth grade is no fun. A little bit older than you. Well, you're probably 10 years older than me. Most people that are war gamers, that's about what it seems to be. Is about 10 years older than I am. So Portugal. You stock up on cork while you're over there. Might need this for wargaming in a few years. Got to hold on to it. Never been to Europe. I haven't had the chance to. And now, the world's upside down, so Speaking of the Pope, I one of the things I was listening to or watching a year and a half ago, I think, about so I was watching that series, The Borgias, which I really didn't care for it. I mean, there's several of them or whatever. I think this is the one that had Jeremy Irons in it, and I think I had like six more episodes to go, and just lost total interest. Just lost total interest. So it's too much of the same thing. Just I find watching television too uninvolved. You know, I can't sit there and watch a show while I'm doing this. I'd constantly look up, and then the paint would end up drying on the brush, and then would ruin the brush. So I envy people that can do that, but I'm not one of them. During the Pope's visit, I think it was the day after a Spanish priest tried to assassinate him with a sword or bayonet. What? Didn't they shoot? Yeah, they shot John Paul. That was a popular thing in the 80s to try to shoot heads of state. Right? I think so. I don't know. There's a second attempt on his life. He wasn't very controversial, though. I don't think he was. I don't know. He was pretty beloved. So I don't know. Seemed that way, anyways. Yeah, because that's what instituted the whole automobile, right? Not controversial as per his teaching, but he was a big supporter of Polish independence and knocking down Soviet power. Yeah, what's wrong with that? Damn communists trying to kill him. I'm I'm in favor of anybody who stands against communists. There was a Doug. Hello, haven't seen you in a while. Hopefully, you're doing okay. There was a lot of speculation at the time the KGB were behind the assassination attempts. Huh? Really? They didn't have anything better to do? It's slow day at KGB. Let's mess with that guy. Well, I guess it's possible. Speaking of KGB, I was working my way through that show, The Americans, and just again, it that doesn't captivate you. You know, it's an okay show. It's sometimes makes your head hurt, but I'd rather be doing something else. I need something a little bit more interactive than just sitting there and looking at the boob tube. KGB. I don't know. I was 11 when that happened, so you know. All right, let's paint this helmet here. One of the things I love to do on helmets is what I call the split helmet. So you got a helmet that's obviously made of metal, and you know, like my Hungarians, my Burgundians have it, and I actually split it in half. So like one side's painted white, one side's painted blue. In the case of the Burgundians, I've got some red and white ones as well. And the Hungarians, it was really skeptical. I've seen pictures of or illustrations of it done, and it doesn't look right in illustrations, but when you paint the miniatures, it looks really cool. Not everybody, but you know, a couple guys. Although I can't imagine how this early paint, what a poor job this early paint would do to actually stick on a metallic surface. But, you know, um, we're gonna give this guy this metal underneath. We want to make sure we don't ruin this. Have almost this jaw piece. Have you guys take a look at this. But I'm going to put this on a little white, this little white thing, because otherwise, just a little movement that you have, just keep it from focusing. Let's do that. Let's see if we can find the focal point. And we know we're missing part of the spear here. I'll just have to deal with this one. You know, no big deal. Just broke it off in somebody, and that's all he has. So I think it turns out pretty well. I have no idea who makes this the manufacturer's figure. They're a little on the primitive side, but I think that they work. They've got lots of character. So, and I happen to have four of them. So, which is, you know, one for the four corners. You know, he was right up there with Reagan and Thatcher. I read, I do a lot of books on Audible, and I've read that, or had it read to me, I should say, the Killin' Reagan book by Bill O'Reilly, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I do need to go and listen to some of, and do a couple of the other ones, but yeah, sometimes I get outside of it. I guess that's historical, but you know, it's a little bit more current events, politics kind of stuff. You know, but I did enjoy that book. I feel like things were a lot simpler back then. I think I mentioned it the other day. I said, in hindsight 2020, maybe it wasn't such a good idea to outspend the Soviets. Things were a little bit more cut and dry. People had real problems back then. They weren't, you know, being offended by things. Halfway there. Huh. Why is it called Killing Reagan? So, I didn't think so. I didn't know what it was. It almost seemed like before I read it, it was kind of like debunking myths, and mostly basically what the premise of that particular book is. It basically says that after the assassination, he suffered some damage that kind of accelerated his cognitive ability, and that it had a profound effect on his decision making and stuff like that. It's not like the book really makes him out to be like a dummy or anything like that, but just that it just kind of made him. It took a lot of his youthfulness out of him. That he was. It's just kind of accelerated that. But it was really interesting because I had a lot of the behind the scenes, and of course, I grew up in that time period, and and I remember only some things, and it was interesting. It was interesting. Now, I don't know. It's still kind of it's. I still would kind of consider it like current events. So I'm very skeptical of things that are considered current events, and when it's being told by people that maybe have an agenda, if you're getting the real story. But you know, it. But that's what it is. So he's got like I don't know, 7 or 8 different ones, and they've got a patent one. That's probably the next one on my list. They have one on the SS. I don't care about the SS stuff. Enough of that stuff. And they have a Rising Sun. I'm not sure if they have a MacArthur one or not, but I'm not interested in the Civil War stuff. So Kennedy, I heard a review on the Kennedy. It doesn't even go into the conspiracy stuff, which, I mean, if I'm going to read a book about that, I'd like to get it from like, all ends of it, but, whether or not they're plausible or not. Later, it was my intention to have met or at least attend an event for all three. Sadly, when the chance to attend the speech by Thatcher, I had to go and work and cover for a sick employee. Oh, all three. You mean the Pope, Reagan, and Thatcher? Let me go back. My intention to have met or at least attend an event for all three. Pope, Reagan, and Thatcher. Yeah, I don't think anybody could say things in my lifetime as good as Reagan. As I like to say, Reagan could tell people to go get lost. Tell people to go get effed, and they'd thank him for it. The way he turned that around. Now, whether he actually said it or somebody wrote it for him, whatever his delivery, you know. So big three against the Soviets: Reagan, Pope, and Thatcher. I didn't know the Pope was really anti-Soviets. I don't think the Pope that's I don't think the guy that's Pope now would be anti-Soviets, whatever the hell that means. Oh well. Maybe it matters to some people. It doesn't matter to some other people. They're just a figurehead. They're human. They make mistakes. What do I remember well from that time period? One of the things that I remember the most from the time period is and I mean from the 80s, early 80s, was that airplane crash, that Air Florida crash. I think that happened right there at the beginning when Reagan was president, and they had that aircraft that was Air Florida that was going to take off from the airport in Washington D.C. and they had de-iced it, and then the condition was so cold that they didn't go back to get de-iced, and then something froze, and anyways, it didn't get enough lift, and to crash in the Potomac and all that stuff. But the really thing that shocked me was there was upon takeoff, the landing gear ended up clipping some cars on the way up, and ended up like taking out it went through like and killed a baby like in one of the cars that was there. So I mean, just really freak accident stuff like that is just really, I was a kid when that happened, and I don't like flying to begin with, and I particularly do not like takeoffs. Well, I don't like mid-air turbulence. It's not like I get airsick or want to throw up or anything. It's just scary as crap. I mean, I look out the window, but still, yeah, I don't like takeoffs, and I wonder if that's part of it. Just being remembering that that situation. But that, yeah, it's a freak accident. I remember that. And the Skyway Bridge. Remember the big tanker that slammed into one of the pylons of the Skyway Bridge here in Tampa Bay, about the same time period. Was that the one with the guy river rescue? Yeah, he went in and made several trips, and then he ended up dying of hypothermia. I think that was an accident, and I'd have to look it up. But that was one of those situations that I think a lot of people survived the actual impact, and then they might have died because of freezing or whatever. But yeah, that was like 1981. I think it was 1981, something like that. But yeah, I remember that as being a kid. You know, I don't remember a whole lot of news stories that would have happened before that. I think I remember when I was a little kid. I mean, I was a really little kid when I was, like I had a rocking horse, man. I wore that thing out. So I was like, 5 or 6 years old or whatever. But I remember the Centennial stuff in 1976. I think I do. They made a big deal out of that stuff in 1976. But there's not a whole lot of things that I remember like news stories because it wouldn't have affected you as a kid, in the 1970s or something like that. But yeah, I remember that Air Florida and the Skyway Bridge and what else? Oh, yeah. Speaking of Skyway Bridge, my father was about 20 minutes from being on that bridge and was hit by the freighter. Lucky break. There was a bus on that bridge that fell onto the deck of the freighter. I don't, I just, I worry about shit like that, and I really haven't experienced things personally, but just, you know, maybe I'm trying to learn my lessons through the, other people experiencing things. But, I remember, and I mentioned this the other day, I remember going to the San Francisco Bay Area in 86 or 87 or something like that. We went a family trip over there and everything went sideways. Things didn't go easy for us. And, but we had gone over this bridge that a couple of years later, when they had the big quake in the Bay Area, that bridge ended up pancaking. And it was a bridge that goes from San Francisco to Oakland, double decker. So, If I remember correctly. So if I get details wrong, hey, I don't study this stuff, time to time, but it's not my intention to mislead people. But it's double decker. So in other words, if they go in one direction, they're on the bottom level, and in the other direction, they're at the top level, and it's all concrete. And it pancaked, and people on the bottom level were trapped for like 3 or 4 days, or So I'm like, anytime I go into like a parking garage or something like that, I get I get really uneasy. So hey, we all have our things, we all have our phobias. It doesn't keep me from flying, it doesn't keep me from going under a bridge, but it's disturbing. It's really disturbing. So, but none of that makes me sick. I don't have any motion sickness, or I certainly don't get seasick. No, that's it's heavenly to go on a ship. No, I haven't been in a Atlantic gale, either. I might be a little different if I'd experienced something like that, but you know, all right. And a lot of the things is, you might remember something, but if it's not reinforced and you're not forced to like remember it over and over again, you kind of forget the details. That's why those things that you do remember, they're kind of, I'm going to use scarring lightly, but they have an effect on you because you keep remembering, and the memory, keep the memory alive. That was a freaky bridge, especially when it was in the fog. Yeah, the Skyway Bridge now, they rebuilt it, and it's so long that when you get, I've only been on it like twice, thank goodness. But it's so long that when you get on it over here, off in the distance, it looks like it's not even straight across from you. It's over off at an angle. It's spooky. It happened during the World Series out there. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, yeah. I don't belong in an earthquake place. Sorry. That's just, I guess it's what you're used to. I'd rather deal with, not that I want to deal with that, I'd rather deal with terrorism than I would with an earthquake. You can at least fight the terrorists, you know? You can't fight an earthquake, you know? The idea that there's some kind of a natural disaster and you need to run out of a building because the building can collapse on you is just really disturbing from somebody who lives in Florida. I'm just telling you, that's just, not, that don't make a lot of sense. So, all right, let's get a leather-like color for his scabbards. That's why I laugh at people that are scared of spiders. Like, come on, man, you can get away from them. Or should I say, right before a World Series game in that area? Yeah, I don't want to have anything to do with that. No, thank you. What are you gonna do? Fight an earthquake? Pound the earth? Take that, Mother Nature? No. You know there's gonna be a big one. You know it's gonna be a big one. I'll take hurricanes. First of all, they ain't bad. They're not bad here. The worst thing about them here is how people react like it's the end of the world going, and just anarchy, anarchy light. Yeah, spiders aren't high on my list. You know, I don't care how fast a spider is. You can catch up with them and squash them. And they have what, 8 legs, right? Now, if you get a snake in your house And I'm not scared of snakes. I think snakes are actually cool. But I don't want them in my house because you can never catch one. He's got no legs, and you'll never catch him. I actually, last couple times I've mowed the lawn, I've encountered snakes. Very cute small ones. But I'm thinking I don't want them to get in the garage and then get in the house because they're going to startle you, and you'll never get them out. And but they're cute, and they eat bugs. There's a true friend right there. Everybody has their things. Mine's flying cockroaches. No. Uh-uh. No, those scare me. They move too erratically and ooh, no. And they're big. All right. We're done with that. Let's move to the next guy. Well, good. You guys woke me up a little bit. All we had to do was talk about unpleasant things that happen to other people, and then I woke right up. We had a 5.5 earthquake here in Utah a year ago. It wasn't too scary for me, but folks at the center had building damage. There's definitely something about a quake or any natural disaster that makes you feel pretty powerless. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, at least you could fight a terrorist. I mean, not that I want that. I'm just saying, I don't like to fly, and I'm not scared of the terrorism in the sky. You know, if somebody tries if somebody tries to take out hijack a plane, well, I don't think that's probably going to happen. I think that people hopefully will know better. But I'm worried about the steel bird in the sky. That's why when I go on a cruise, or as I like to say, I used to go on a cruise. I'd make fun of people that got seasick. Well, not to their face, that'd be rude. But you could leave me on a cruise ship. That's the way to travel. That's like perfect, stress free, and you get rocked to sleep, and perfect. But there's no way I'd be able to fall asleep on a plane. Had too many turbulent scares. And they're nothing, but you're not in the cabin. Like if you could ride with the cabin crew, and say, and if you figure, hey, they're on the instruments, they're the pros, they've done this a bunch of times, and if they're not panicking, there's probably nothing to worry about. But you're back there where, in the cattle section, and you don't know what the hell's going on. So was it when we went to Utah? Might have been when we went to Utah. We got some bad turbulence going over those Rockies. Yeah, it's no fun. You don't want to be next to. Well, I just need some vitamin T, and then I'm okay. Tequila, and then I'm all right. Vitamin T to the rescue. I was 9, 10, 11 years old or something like that. And we flew into Mexico City, and the turbulence was out of control, and the lightning. And I'm like, okay, scarred from that. So, lightning, that's what I don't do. I don't do lightning. There's your powerless. Yeah, I don't mess with lightning. You can't win. And then there's people that are afraid of clowns. Come on, man. How can you take a bozo seriously? I had a guy, this sales guy that used to visit me, and he was from Canada. I don't know if this is a Canadian thing. I don't think it is. But we were talking about, stuff that we're scared of, you know. I'm not afraid, I'm not like I'm gonna be like a badass. I ain't scared of anything. Everybody's scared of something, you know. And you just got to realize that. And he's like, "Well, I could tell you what I'm scared of, but you're gonna laugh." Which point is like, well, you got to tell me now, right? Because I got to know what it is. Said, "Nah, you're gonna laugh, and you're not gonna believe me." I said, "Well, you need to sell a little bit better if I'm not gonna believe you." He's like, "Well, I have a phobia of fruit." And I said, "Now hold on a second. I misheard you. I misheard you. You said you were afraid of fruit." He's like, "Yeah, I'm afraid of fruit." I said, "What do you mean you're afraid of fruit?" I said, "If there's like we're in my office at work, and I'm like, so if there was like a case of mangoes here in the corner, you would be worried?" He's like, "Yeah, I'd feel uneasy." I'm like, "It's fruit, man. Fruit's awesome." Is that a thing? I mean, Jared Heine, willkommen. At least for me, fighting forest fires was scarier than experiencing quakes. I've done neither, so as amazing as lightning is, I do not tempt fate when it comes to lightning. Had a neighbor killed by a bolt. Yeah, I do not. I do not mess with that. What is fire to control scary thing last summer? One fire got within 2 blocks of my home. Oh. Well, that's a lot scarier than fruit. All right. Because just to prove that this is an educational show sometimes, okay, let's open up a window here. I bet there's a freaking name for it because they just invent issues to create new names for it. There's too many psychologists. Okay, fear of fruit. Fructo Fructophobia is the fear of fruits. I can't make this up, folks. People fear fruits often due to the same reasons why people fear vegetables. Okay, that doesn't make any sense either. Like eating seeds that may germinate inside one's body or getting infested with insects or worms. Well, I got a story for you. I had an older grandmother, and she always said, "Don't put things in your nose," because she told me a story that some kid put a watermelon seed in his nose and it germinated there. And, the next thing you know, it killed him because a watermelon plant came out of his nose. But that's, you know, she was born in another century. And I mean, I said that in the 20th century. She was born in 1899. She was, a while ago. What is the weirdest phobia? Does that fall in there? Fruitopia. I can't believe that that's a thing. Sufferers would avoid eating fruits as well as fruit flavored stuff like soft drinks. Oh man, that was no way. I like fruit ice cream. I don't want to have just chocolate ice cream. That would suck. Symptoms include shortness of breath, an apple, tremors, weeping, screaming. The grapes. Fainting, increased heart rate, increased body temperature, loss of control, vomiting, and urge to flee. Fruitopia is usually treated using behavioral therapy and anti anxiety medications, but attempting self help first is recommended. Okay, and then of course here's the comment section. This is wonderful. Comment, aren't the comment sections the best? I hate fruit so much. It's disgusting. I have had this fear since I was born. I only like artificial coconut juice, but that's it. Bananas are worse than eating poop, and apples are just gross. I hate fruit. Fruit is the devil to me. I think this person needs to be saved. Wow. See what happens when you take out the Soviet Union? All these things come up. Jeez. Damn it, Gorby. Have I ever seen cats get freaked out by cucumbers? Yeah, I have. It's hilarious. But it's not that it's cucumber, it's that they think it's a snake or something. But but cats, when you get right down to it, cats are just pussies right at heart. So, I expect them to be scared and stuff like that. With spiders, the spiders I see in Maryland are probably quite different than the ones you encounter in Florida. Banana spiders are scary, but they don't come after you. They're like in a web. So if you don't walk through the woods, or if you walk through the woods and just keep an eye out, you don't have a problem. Now, if there's tarantulas all over the floor, yeah, that's something else. Um, that's something else. But don't know what spiders are there. The ones here in Australia scare the hell out of me. Arachnophobia doesn't even begin. Well, we don't have camel spider type things like that. You know, those type of things. Fruit. Afraid of fruit. Mango. Man, I freaking love fruit. It's good for you. It's nature's candy. I mean, I don't want rotten fruit, but that kind of goes without saying. Wow. Somebody got dropped on their head as a kid. I just got to believe stuff like that. That just doesn't make any sense. I'll be honest with you. It would make sense if you were like afraid of eating animals or something like that, another living creature, because it's kind of weird when you think about it. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're tasty, okay? But, I'm glad other people are raising little pigs and putting a bullet through their head because I couldn't do it, man. They're cute, but man, they are tasty. But, I could live without eating meat. You got fruit, vegetables, they never hurt you, buddy. Afraid of fruit. I can't believe I didn't look up. I can't believe that happened probably 10 years ago. And then I didn't look it up until now. Well, I'm interested in, I'll look up like historical stuff. That's a lot more, believable. If I remember correctly, I think there was a sketch in a Mighty Python Flying Circles that made fun of being assaulted with a passion fruit. Man, and passion fruit things are freaking delicious. I mean, they're freaking delicious. I don't know. Send me your fruits, folks. I'll eat them for you. Wow. Okay. Aha! This guy tried to get away. Fruit phobia. Just inventing problems that don't even exist. Okay. And let's add a little bit of white to that and what have you. Okay, didn't expect this conversation night. Yeah, it's good. It's good. We go off on tangents. It's better than talking about politics. It's just a waste of everybody's time. There was a scary time in 1973 during the Yom Kippur War when the Soviets threatened to aid the Arabs and the U.S. threatened to aid Israel. But the U.S. did aid Israel. And the Soviets did aid the Arabs. Or at least they bought their stuff. The first war game I ever played, the first real war game I played was on that battle, was on that war. It was an old game by, I don't know who it was. I was like 15 at the time, 15 or 16, one of those two. And the game was called Barlev, and the map was. You guys have been wargaming for a while. You know which game I'm talking about. It's actually a really good game. The counters actually looked fine. Just the map looked like really ugly. It still looks. It still was a better looking game than those SPI games. For those of you guys that are SPI gamers, I've never played an SPI game because I'm not old enough. They just weren't around, and or I wasn't into them or whatever. I mean, I've played some board games, and but the colors on the SPI games that I've seen are just very very drab and like washed out looking. But the Bar Lev game is actually a nice looking game, and it's an interesting type of mechanic. But I is it Yakin? No, I don't think it's Yakinto. But that was a fun game. They've remade it like 3 or 4 different times, but the original one still is the first war game I ever played. I played the Egyptians. I remember watching the news showing our cargo planes flying to Israel with planet loads of anti-tank missiles. Plane loads of anti-tank missiles. Yeah. What anti-tank missiles did we have back then? Toes. I think the toes were around back then. The toes and the saggers and the all that stuff. Battle of Chinese Farm and can't do all the conflicts. It seems like a really interesting one though. Somebody else was telling me, some other wargamer said I should look into doing the Suez Crisis of '56 because it's really interesting. I'm like, okay, but I can't do everything, so kind of have my hands full. Yeah, this isn't my period doing these medieval and dark age and ancient stuff, but I can paint things and I can use them multiple times. They will get played with. So, that's much better than trying to build something for a game that won't ever happen. So, if you don't have time to play this, you don't have time to play anything because this is a quick game. So, yes, it was toes. Okay. That is right. There was talk of having to send in troops. The Soviets did. So, if I had to do, because we played, what was it? Well, the first miniatures game I played was Command Decision, and then Combined Arms, which was the modern version. But that was, like what, 1990? You know, all the dreams of the fold the gap thing happening, which kind of went sideways. But if I had to do that again, I think if you did something, if you built some forces that were like 1960 or 61 or 59 or that time period when the US troops had those heavy tanks. What are those? M103s? Is that what they were? With a 120 millimeter gun? So then you could have that and M48s and 47s and all that kind of stuff. That'd be neat to do that. You have T60. Well, you wouldn't have T62s if it was a 59, but you'd have those T10s and Joseph Stalin fours or whatever. That'd be pretty freaking cool, because it'd be modern, but it wouldn't be modern. It'd be between, on the time period of Bay of Pigs or something like that. Late Eisenhower period. Something like that. That'd be kind of cool because you could see those vehicles in action that never end up getting in action. That would be kind of interesting, you know. I think Nixon may have threatened to put U.S. boots on the ground. First modern micro armor game was combined arms. Okay, yeah, and I couldn't find. I know I have the rules here somewhere, but I couldn't find them. I have them. I've got my original Command Decision and the second edition one, which we played. I'm going to say quite a bit, but not by the standards of the game. It's not like we were playing every week. So, yeah, those are basically tank game. The problem with those games are that there's a couple things that they do really well. They do armor really well and hit chance and all that because it really translates really well into centimeters of armor equivalent. So if you're playing like Command Decision or Combined Arm, it's certainly Command Decision. You take the armor factor, and it's once you add the angle of the armor and everything, it's pretty equivalent to their number is about the centimeters of armor that the vehicle has. So you're dealing with some real world numbers, and that's what I like. I like war games that involve with real data, so that you're getting an education, so to speak, as you're playing the game. You're not just learning random factors that don't translate into the real world. That's always my preference to do stuff like that. But I think I had that. But those games, the problem I have with them is unlike the stuff I play now, the decisions that you made from turn to turn sometimes weren't very meaningful, and most of the time weren't very meaningful. Meaning there was one or two really obvious things that you needed to do, not like lots of different ways to skin a cat. And that's kind of what attracts me to playing games now is making decisions that you kind of have to there's no obvious way of doing it. There's I like games that involve more meaningful decisions that you have to make from bound to bound. It keeps you more involved in it. But I was a kid, so it was like the first war game that I played. So still have mine. Looking forward to new edition of Cold War Commander from Pendragon. If I was going to do it again, if I was going to play some game, 1/5 scale game like Combined Arms or Command Decision, what I would do, and I've actually thought about this, I'm not going to do it because, I would, I would base them like this. I would base, so, basically one vehicle in the game represents like a platoon, somewhere between 3 to 6 vehicles. I would actually put the 3 to 6 vehicles on a stand, and then you'd move it like one. But then and I'd use those Pico armor guys, right? Because that's like 3 millimeter, and they're cute little guys. So you could put them like a little wedge or whatever, and it would be a unit, and I'd probably base them on something like this, and they could all be in their little stand. So you could have it'd be a 1 to 5 scale game, but all the vehicles were kind of would be represented, you know. So that's how I think I would do that. Quick fun game, used to enjoy AK-47 Republic or Peter Pig, Insurgent Conflict, Independent. I think that Africa theme is a great theme. I How long ago was it? 10 years ago? What year are we in? 21? Yeah, about 10 years ago, I was going to work on a imagination type thing in Africa. Completely tongue in cheek, completely tongue in cheek, skirmish style game, and but it's just too much work. It's just too much to get it up off the ground. So I think I've stuck with this. You know, I mean, even something even as much fun as we've had with Gaslands, I just have a hard time picking up and learning rules. I just don't want to do that anymore. I want to paint figures. I want to laugh. I want to have a good time. Um, Trying to figure out how to play a game is it's just too much work. Um, and I play some video games, and I've played. There's one particular video game that I've played for a while now. It's a zombie game, and I'm not a big zombie fan, but this particular game is. I play it on a console, but the people playing in the groups are like, "Oh, I want it to be more hard. I want to be harder. I want to be harder." And I was like, do you guys not have? It's not that I don't want the game to be challenging, but do you guys not have jobs? You know, it's like some of us are challenged enough at our workplace. We want something a little bit like more relaxing when we get home, not stress, 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 stress. Like, dude, man, um, I, I don't have that in me anymore. And it's not that I want to play something that is not challenging because that defeats the purpose. But I don't want to be something where I'm constantly being harassed. You don't have a moment to have a breather. I think these guys are done. I think these guys are done. Let's have you guys take a look at them. See what you think. And again, if you know who the manufacturer of these guys are, it's got to be like Thistle and Rose or something like that. I'm not sure who it is. Now, if we could just get this to focus in the right place. And there we go. Let's try that. So these guys are going to stand probably along the outside, like one on each corner, all facing the same way, all facing forward on the Pope stand. So we're going to call these guys done for now. Move them off to the side. Am I familiar with solo mechanics for DBA? Yes. Yes, I have, but I'm not interested in doing it because I have no, I've got opponents. And the problem with playing solo is one of the things I don't consider myself really. No, let's see, how can I put this? I'm competitive, but I'm not win at all costs competitive. But one of the big draws for me to DBA is I keep track of all my wins and losses because it's fun to go back and look and remember what happened in other games. That if you don't keep track of that stuff, memory is only so good. So if I'm playing a solo game, I'm not going to get to experience that stuff or, Raz Mitch or what have you. But I haven't really looked into it a whole lot because I'm more of a painter than I am gamer. And I mean that because I have other outlets to, for instance, to paint. And let's turn this around and see if you guys can see where, let's see if we can get this thing to behave. There we go. Here's where these guys are hanging out here right now. Is this coming off this mount? I hope I don't lose this. There we go. We'll hold this by hand. Here's where these guys are hanging out right here. So let's get this out of the way. We're going to paint this up like some kind of a Roman church or whatever. So we'll we'll do that. So this is the army so far, and here is the four stands or whatever. So they do have a high mercenary contingent amount. So all right, so we're done with that, and you guys have managed to keep me awake. So that's a gold star for you guys, and I don't feel like stopping. So let's roll into something else, if you don't mind. Let's roll into something else. All right, so we got the Pope hit thing here, which we're going to have to do some green stuff on him. I've got ideas what we're going to do. I'm not really necessarily in a hurry for that. We got something coming that's really going to seal this whole army. So let's see what else we got here. We got a guy that's kneeling. He's going to be on the stand. So we got the four guards. We got a kneeling guy. We got the Pope. We got the gatekeeper, so to speak. Okay, the guy that's everything's got to go through him. I may end up putting a crucifix or something on him, or maybe I won't, because the Pope already has one. I'm gonna make a little hat for him. No, it's not the little mitre cap. It's just a little. It's just a little. Well, it looks similar to these guys. Okay, obviously it's not going to be metallic. So we're gonna green stuff that. We'll do that off camera because I don't know what I'm gonna be. I've done some green stuff, but I'm not a pro with that. I'd rather not. I'd rather not make mistakes galore and not getting anywhere forward. We have a small child there. We may put him on the Pope stand, whatever the hell that means. No, he won't be doing any lewd acts, but it'll be something to laugh about. Um, if you watch any of my videos, that's half the fun is making fun of everything. Everything's fair game. Um, this is another potential figure. I'm not sure. This kind of looks like a little Friar Tuck looking guy, maybe. But there's got to be a limit. I don't think I can put more than like 8 guys on there. There's just not going to be any room. I've got some guys, I've got some monks from museum that are praying here. You may have already said this today. Is this the Papal Italian Book 37? I did not say it today, but that is the army. Yes. Yeah. We've got these little monk guys. So maybe I'll do one of them. I don't know about doing a whole bunch of them. There's a limited amount of space. I don't want to put them on a stand that's bigger than this. So we got a guy on the corner. That doesn't take up a whole lot of space. He's going to be here. We have a gatekeeper. So we got a guy that's going to be kneeling next to the guard, but facing him. Remember, we got a guard here. We got another guard here. Maybe another guy kneeling down. I don't want to paint him and then not end up using him. I'm not so sure I'm sold on this guy. This might actually be a guy that ends up, he's got a little cross around his neck, looks like. This might actually be a guy I can take this off and use to hold a flag, in which case he'd probably be back here somewhere. I don't know, just kind of thinking around my options. All right, I knew we were going to do the 4 guards. That was a given. This thing actually, even though it's a litter, it actually fights pretty good. Pretty well. It fights like a blade stand. So it's actually a pretty tough cookie. All right, let's see what we got here. I got to use the little boys' room. I'll be right back. Okay. All right. So I probably am not going to put the little boy on the stand. First of all, there's too many cool figures that are better served to be on this stand. And I can always put these guys on a camp follower because I've got some odds and ends. And, he's not wearing anything in particular. So I've just decided he's not going to be on the stand. Okay. So we've got 4 guards. We've got the Pope. We have a gatekeeper. Okay, that's 6 stands. This guy makes 7, and a monk, that makes 8. I don't know about putting this guy on there as well. We'll see. I said we're gonna do one of the we're gonna do one of these monk guys. Let's glue him on a stand. Where's the super glue? This is the command stand for the Papal Army. Yes, it's a litter. They can actually have a knight general as well, in which case it'd be like a battle bishop or something like that. Coruscant actually makes some figures for that. And one of the armies I also am looking to build at some point is the Hohenstaufens from Sicily, and because they're the enemy of this guy during this time period, and they make figures for Frederick II and his son Manfred as well, and the same thing. And they make like a battle bishop type guy. So I can see getting a pack of that as well. Now, one of the catches to this is going to be I'm going to have to sand the bottom of this Pope down because he's going to be standing on a rug, okay? And I want to make the rug ahead of time, and I don't want to have to cut a hole in the rug, and I don't want him to stand up above it, so I'm going to have to sand him down on a file. That's going to be fun to listen to, don't you think? Do one of these type of things. So that could take a while, but that's all right. It won't take that long. But I can see having to do that. So I'm not necessarily in a hurry to do that per se. This guy, will he be on the rug as well? I'm not sure. I may have to grind him down as well. These are Essex, which tend to be kind of on the soft side, material-wise. Just going to take a while. So I would want to do that before I go and glue him to a stand, because I don't want to get a good grip on this guy after he's painted, and then I'll end up rubbing off whatever paint's on him by having to put a firm grip on this guy. So this guy is probably going to be on the rug as well. So he's probably going to need to be a minimal of stand thickness. Like, for instance, if I got guys that are going to go on a chariot, and they're obviously riding the chariot, I don't want them to be on the little stand. I want them to be just flush. I think it's very distracting to have that. Almost got this guy done. I'm talking about doing it, and just do it. I got a little Dremel. I got a poor man's Dremel that my wife found for me at a garage sale many years ago, maybe 10 years ago. And, because it's not Dremel brand, it's some off brand. It's fine. It doesn't need to be a brand type thing, but I haven't used it that much because it's just too damn fast. I mean, this stuff is just kind of precision anyways. And, yeah, I don't know if I want to breed that stuff. Let's Where's that container we were using for? Like a fun enemy to build would be communal Italian. Well, some of these troops are going to be used for communal Italian, and communal Italian are also an ally. And you could have 2 communal Italian armies as allies. So you could have a command wagon as a general. You could have two command wagons as two different allies, plus the litter. So it could be a very, very defensive army, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it is a different way to play the army, you know? Just, I don't have armies necessarily that are my perfect combination of troop types. Sometimes you got to challenge yourself and think outside the box. Okay, well, I don't like this thing that he has in his hand. It's supposed to be some kind of a mace, but honestly, it looks stupid. It's just too big. If something was that big and it was solid to break across somebody's freaking head, it's going to be too heavy to be able to swing it, you know. So we're definitely not keeping that thing. Whether we'll snap it off and create a flag, it seems like that's the thing to do. I mean, seems like that's what you want to do. This guy's been around the block though, because he's got like a full beard and stuff. The Pope doesn't, and there's pictures of popes during this time period were clean shaven, but this is some kind of we'll call him a eunuch, but you know what I mean. Just some guy who that's what he does. He just kind of hangs out at court and power hungry, second in command, waiting for something to happen to the Pope for him to step up. Scouts, Osprey books referring to the sections in the Army listen to BA 3.0. Yeah. Book 3. Yeah, book 1 is basically everything up to like uh, Thermopylae, from 3000 BC to Thermopylae. And then book 2 is generally Thermopylae to the fall of the Roman Empire. And then book 3 is basically Dark Ages. And then book 4 is uh, medieval and right up to the Renaissance period. That's how the books were for the WRG books from way back when. All right, I don't like this thing on him. We're gonna cut this thing off. Time to circumcise. Bye bye. Now Essex figures are actually really good for that because they're kind of a softer alloy. So doing this is not as difficult as it would be with some other manufacturers. Okay, and we're going to leave that little stump in there. And let's get our and if I screw this up, I got another one of these figures, so that's always peace of mind. Leave yourself an out, because you never know when things are going to go sideways. So here I've got, aha, I knew it was around here somewhere. If I remember right, the 4 books were originally sold separately by, yes they were. Yes they were, and in DBM and in DBMM as well. I have the DBM books and the DBMM books. I have the DBM books when I was doing DBA 2.2, and we need to go ahead and close this because I don't think we're going to do any more painting tonight. I think we're doing this assembly stuff. All right, let's see what we're dealing with here. Now, I'm going to do something that I didn't realize nobody knew about this. It's okay, we don't all have the answers. So I'm going to take this X-Acto blade out, and somebody didn't know, and I don't mean by saying this that they were an idiot or something, but you can use, let's do a really small one. you can use the end of an X-Acto blade as a pin vise for these that are really, really thin. I found out recently, I was watching one of the forums or whatever. I forget exactly how it was. You know what? It was some guy that had a channel, and he said to use, if you're doing plastic models, you can use the side, and you're dealing with cutting flash, you can use the back side of the X-Acto knife to get flash down. And I'm like, holy crap! I had no idea. I'd always been doing this, and then you end up cutting it too much, and you have to try to fill it. But you could just use the back of the X-Acto knife to if you're just doing it on plastic, it's not very difficult to mess with. So actually, this is the exact knife blade I should have done, because it's more dull. This one's still sharp. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to drill. We're going to, let's see, do we want to bend this up some? I don't want to bend it too much because then it's over. All right, we're going to put a little notch. And I've replaced many spears and lances. We're going to put a little notch here in the center. So that way, when I drop this in here, now this one may not actually work well. I may have to go to a bigger one because these suck. This comes from like a multi-set from some Chinese brand, a million bits for, $4 or something like that I got off the internet before I was doing my China boycott. So, you know, like I wouldn't buy them now, but these don't cut worth a damn. So this may not actually work. And I think I'm proving it that it's not actually working, because the front of this is almost like flat. So let me grab one that's small, but then has the full. Yeah, all these are freaking Chinese piece of crap things. Well, I know that blue one's good, but that's a little too big. I need to get these other ones out of here that are no good. Let's try this one. This one may work. Yeah, the top of this is flat. You know what? I bet what it is my pin vise. It's installed in the pin vise currently. That's why I can't find it there. It's not in the box. Yep. All right. This is the one we use to drill all the other stuff. So I don't want to put too much pressure on him, or it's going to end up bending his arm and breaking it. And then I got to worry about how to epoxy that on and not mess up the additional pressure that it's going to have by putting a pin through here. That's what we're going to do, is we're going to put a pin through here. It's not wanting to go farther. What gives? There we go. Now we're going to bend this so that it lands somewhere on this tiny little bit of the stand. And then we're going to put a tiny little notch there. So when I put that other item there, it'll have something to prop up on the bottom end of it. Okay. let's take the bottom, make sure we have any extra of this stuff. Any excess, we'll just take that out. See, this kind of stuff I think is really relaxing. You know, there's no hurry to do it. You know, it'll get done when it gets done, and you can take all the time in the world that you have. All right, where is the bag with all of my needles? Needles, pens, whatever you want to call them. All kinds of stuff. One of the things that I go get at Joann's Fabrics. I'm the only dude. I go into Joann's Fabrics, and I'm the only guy in there. And these old women are like, "Can I help you with something?" No, I'm good. You won't realize I'm crafty. Let's see. We could go taller than that. Let's make sure we don't drop any of these on the ground, or I'm going to find them with my foot. Let's be careful. Let's be careful. And it'll scare the crap out of you more than it'll hurt. Let's take one of those. Now let's take a look at this, which was my candidate, and these. And see lengthwise what we're dealing with. It's going to be one or the other. Oh, they're damn near the same thing. Either way, I'm going to have to cut something off of it. Okay, so let's use a needle. Let's use a needle. And these guys, this stuff, these things are really cheap. And they're made in the USA, believe it or not, which is unbelievable. And they come with a nice little case. So this would be a great thing to put little tufts or something in there when I'm done with it. But all right. So before anybody freaks out, just run the edge, the tip, like this. Just that much. Now it's enough that you're not going to poke yourself and die of bleeding profusely. All right, now, where's my cutters? Speaking of 1973, these are probably from 1973. Come back, and we're going to take the back of this and snip it off. Maybe grab the big ones. And of course, it left a jagged at the bottom, so we'll have to sand that down, file that down. Okay, now let's take a look at what we're dealing with here. The sand can't go through, that's fine. So we'll put it in from the bottom. Oh, I know this fits in here. Oh, it even fits snug, that's even better. Pull it out a little bit. Come on, and then put it back down. Okay, and now, that's what he looks like. And now we can have a banner bearer. Now, he's going to be a lot bigger than the Yeah, so we're gonna roll with this. This is what we're gonna do with this figure. And worst case scenario, if I don't like how the flag thing looks, I just don't use them. So cheap things are still made in the US. Yes. So if you missed it the other day, is all of the craft paint I have, which I use craft paint for very little things. So we've got folk art, we've got Craft Smart. This is super El Cheapo. Deco Art Americana and Apple Barrel. Where's Apple Barrel? Apple Barrel. The most expensive of these is maybe $1.80, something like that. And I believe that's the folk art. The folk art is the most expensive one. I believe this is in the order that they go in. This is like a Joann's fabric brand or super generic. All four of these, oh, and then we'll put Vallejo, and then we'll put Army Painter. Here we go. From cheapest to most, from cheapest over here to the most expensive. This one, these are like, this is less than $1 for this huge thing. Now, I don't paint figures with this. I guess you could. I paint backgrounds and terrain and stuff like that. This stuff is made in the United States, Irving, Texas. Okay. Deco art is Stanford, Kentucky. Apple Barrel, I believe, is Norcross, Georgia. Correct. And Folk Art, I believe, is also Norcross, Georgia. It is. They're both made by Planet Enterprises. And then you've got the Danish paints, which sometimes are made in other parts of the EU. Yeah, this one says made in France and other EU countries. I don't know why they made Monster Brown in France, but some of the other colors not. I don't know. And then Spain. But the cheapest paints are made in the US. So you can make cheap things here. You would think if anything was made in China, it would be this. Okay. So the other day I was in a hobby store and I was going to buy some tufts from Games Workshop, right? Well, everybody knows Games Workshop is overpriced probably because of their marketing. And you got to pay for those things, you know. So, but the tufts were made in China. You know, I'm like, I'm not going to pay $20 for something that's made in China. So, well, I didn't care how much it was. I wasn't going to buy it because it was made in China. So, it could be made in Taiwan. It could be made in Thailand. It could be made, you know, anywhere but there. I'm not going to buy it. I don't need it bad enough. So I didn't buy it. And yeah, so, but yet the cheapest paint of all is made in the US. So, you know, it's a racket, folks. And it doesn't have to be made in the US. It just, how about let's make it in a place who's not our mortal enemy? Is that too much to ask? No, it's not. So, okay. I'd buy it if it was made in Russia. I'm not going to buy the Chinese one. So, all right. Or North Korea, but they don't make anything other than misery. All right, so what do we do with this guy? Well, we need to glue him to a penny, okay? Yeah, I'm definitely not one of those. I only buy things made in the US now. Nope. How about just our allies? Buy them from people that have the same value system that you value. It's not too much to ask. And it's nothing against the Chinese people. You guys know I love Asian armies. I love Chinese armies. I love their history. They got a raw deal going on right now, those folks. Okay. That's the extra super glue that I've had. Defacing money. Yeah, well, I recycle all this stuff. These will never be spent. All right, so let's We're going to go ahead and glue this guy down first. Then, I really want to use epoxy for this. I don't want to use super glue. We'll just use this for now. We'll drop it in here to the top. And we'll slide it down so it gets in there somewhere. And we'll glue him to the stand as well. Leave a little bit there. Okay. And we're going to let this guy dry. So there's that papal banner that Greg insisted I have. Well, we'll see if we can do something cool with it. I may not like it. It may not work on the stand, you know. Used to buy IMAX figures made in Florida. Huh. They're out of business, aren't they? That sounds like something that's like 54 millimeter or something like that. I used to work at a hobby store many in the early 90s. So I remember some of that stuff. IMAX sounds like somebody who makes horses or something like that. Could be wrong. I'm mixing it up with Aurora or something. Okay, so there's that guy. We got the Pope. We have to wait him on later. What time is it? 10:30? I think we're going to call it a night. I think we're going to call it a night because we got to get to bed. But anyhow, thanks for hanging with me. So we're going to have a papal banner. Now I get to spend all day tomorrow daydreaming about papal banners and seeing what I can make happen with that. What we want to do one that's kind of exciting looking, not just plain. So we'll see. Worst case scenario, we'll do something different with them. I said to cut it down and do a crucifix, but I don't want to have too many of those. I mean, if the Pope's going to have one, then there's no reason for him to have one as well. So, but anyhow, thanks for hanging out with me, folks. And 2.5 hours, not bad. And we'll catch you guys next time in more papal excitement. Happy painting and enjoy your, what is tomorrow? Wednesday? Yeah. Happy Wednesday to, well, some of you guys are already experiencing Wednesday. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.